I want to talk about a moment that ended up being formative for me as an educator and as a professor, even though I didn't know it at the time. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to imagine being a graduate student. So you've been teaching for a few years, but you're still sort of getting used to the profession and getting used to just teaching in general. And you walk into a room filled with about 20 to 30 undergraduates who have read the material and are interested in talking about whatever you're covering that day. Now, a few days prior, you lost your voice. The reason was not contagious or anything like that, but you can't say anything. You can only talk at a very, very low whisper. So what do? Do you cancel class? That's option A. Do you attend class? That is option B and let them know in advance. Or do you option C, attend class, don't give anyone a heads up that you cannot talk and have it anyway? I, as a young graduate student teaching undergraduates, chose option C. I came to class and I could not talk at all. I could write, I could find other ways to communicate, but I really had to lean on my students to do all of the communication. That ended up being probably the best class that I ever ran as a graduate student because it put me in a position where I needed to have my student front and center. I couldn't actually come in and do much reorienting, except when it came down to writing down a word on the board or a question on the board. That's really all I could do. And so this became a formative moment for me because it kind of forced me to put students at the center of the conversation rather than lecturing or being the sage on the stage person that so many of us are taught to be when we are in graduate school and becoming future professors. So I couldn't do that. I really benefited from not having that be a part of my arsenal at that moment. The other reason I found this so formative to me as a future professor and as an educator is that it put me in a position where I really needed to think creatively about how to nudge my students, right? Not just offer information, but find ways to kind of nudge them in a certain direction, right? So kind of nourishingly help them out, but also challenge them, right? And a lot of it came down to writing something on a board or finding other creative ways to very efficiently and very quickly push students in a certain direction without actually facilitating and giving context, because that just takes way more time. And as I've taught more, I've come back to this moment and have thought about it quite a bit in terms of what it means for what the college classroom should actually look like.